Edgar Cayce didn't say death tears the worlds apart. He said something far more unsettling. He said the veil between worlds thins, and when it does, the living and the departed can briefly exist within the same field of awareness. That means the signs people report, the dreams, the sudden sense of presence they can't explain, may not be imagination at all. My name is Elliot Dunn, and in this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly how Edgar Cayce described the veil between worlds, what it is, why it exists, when it becomes thinner, and what happens to the soul beyond it. And I invite you to stay with me, because near the end, Cayce explains why some people sense this veil more strongly than others, and it may explain experiences you've already had, but never fully understood. One of the most persistent misconceptions about death is the idea that it creates a permanent separation, a hard boundary between the living and the dead. A closed door, a final silence. Edgar Cayce never taught this. Across thousands of psychic readings, Cayce consistently described death not as an ending, but as a change in vibrational focus. The soul does not disappear, it does not become unreachable, and it does not lose awareness of those it loved. Instead, consciousness shifts. From Cayce's perspective, the worlds of spirit and matter are not distant realms separated by vast cosmic space. They exist side by side, differentiated by frequency, purpose, and focus of awareness. The veil, then, is not a wall, it is a filter. Its role is not to sever connection, but to allow experience to remain coherent on each side. Cayce explained that the veil exists primarily for the benefit of the incarnated soul. Earth life requires focus, it requires choice, it requires consequence. If full spiritual awareness were constantly present, the lessons of physical life would lose their meaning. Free will would collapse under certainty. Growth would stagnate. The veil allows the soul to experience limitation, not as punishment, but as education. At the same time, the veil protects the physical mind from being overwhelmed by impressions from subtler realms. Without it, the sensory world would be flooded with symbols, emotions, memories, and energies that the physical brain is not designed to process continuously. In other words, the veil is not cruel. It is functional. One of Cayce's most important clarifications is that the veil is not fixed. It thickens and thins. It responds to emotional intensity, spiritual sensitivity, transitions in consciousness, and pivotal moments in the soul's journey. This is why not everyone experiences the veil in the same way, or at the same times. Some pass through life barely sensing it, others feel its presence repeatedly. Neither path is superior. Each reflects the soul's purpose for that incarnation. Cayce taught that sleep is a partial withdrawal of the soul from the physical body. Each night, consciousness loosens its grip on physical sensation and drifts towards subtler realms. This is why dreams often feel symbolic, emotionally charged, or strangely familiar. Dreams are not random hallucinations. They are translations. When the soul returns to the body upon waking, the conscious mind attempts to interpret non-physical experience using physical language and imagery. Much is lost in translation, but not all. This is why some dreams feel like meetings, why loved ones appear peaceful, radiant, and aware, why guidance arrives without fear. During sleep, the veil thins naturally, not because death is near, but because consciousness temporarily shifts its focus. Another moment when the veil naturally thins is during deep emotional states, especially grief and love. Cayce explained that intense emotion loosens the soul's attachment to the physical senses. Attention turns inward. Awareness widens. This is why people often sense loved ones shortly after loss, not because the departed are trapped or wandering, but because the mourner's consciousness has shifted closer to the vibrational state of the soul. In grief, time feels distorted, memory becomes vivid, presence feels immediate. The veil responds. Cayce was unequivocal on this point. Relationships do not end at death, they evolve. Souls who share deep emotional bonds on Earth remain aware of one another beyond physical life. Communication may no longer occur through words or touch, but it continues through resonance, feeling, and recognition. This is why people often report sensing comfort during moments of despair, receiving reassurance in dreams, feeling guidance without hearing a voice. Cayce cautioned that fear distorts perception. Obsessive attempts to force contact can lead to confusion. But when the heart remains open and receptive, connection occurs gently, without disruption. The veil allows for recognition, not intrusion. Here, Cayce becomes very specific. Sensitivity to the veil is influenced by past life experience, intuitive development, emotional openness, and the soul's chosen role. Some souls incarnate with heightened awareness because they have served as helpers, teachers, or healers across many lifetimes. Others come to Earth to master practicality, grounding, and physical creation. And for them, the veil remains thicker by design. Awareness is not superiority, it is assignment. The purpose of forgetting. Perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of the veil is forgetting. Cayce taught that forgetting is essential to spiritual growth. Without it, experience would lose its power to transform. The veil allows discovery to matter, mistakes to teach, compassion to grow, and yet, forgetting is never complete. There are moments when eternity brushes against time, a sudden knowing, a deep peace, a presence felt but not seen. These moments are not accidents, they are reminders. So far, we've explored the veil as Edgar Cayce described it, not as a wall, but as a living boundary that shifts with consciousness. But what happens when the soul fully leaves the body? Does the veil disappear? Or does it change form? Why do some souls seem closer to us after death than they ever were before? That brings us to part 2. Beyond the veil, the soul's journey after death. The first moment after death, Cayce described the moment after death not as darkness, but as recognition. The soul becomes aware that it is no longer confined to the physical body. Sensation expands. Limitation dissolves. Identity clarifies. For many souls, the first awareness is relief. Relief from pain. Relief from confusion. Relief from density. Cayce compared this moment to awakening from a dream, realizing the body was never the self, only the instrument. At this point, the veil does not vanish. It transforms. Cayce spoke of a transitional realm, sometimes referred to as the borderland, where the soul adjusts after death. This is not punishment, not judgment, not purgatory, it is orientation. Here, the soul reviews experiences, reconnects with soul companions, and recalibrates awareness. Emotional attachments to Earth are gently loosened. During this phase, awareness of the physical world can remain strong, which is why contact with the living is still possible. But Cayce emphasized that this state is temporary. Many people report sensing loved ones for weeks, months, or even years after death. Cayce gave several reasons: to assist the living during grief, to complete unfinished emotional business, to serve as helpers or guides. However, he also warned that excessive attachment, on either side, slows spiritual progress. Love does not cling. Love releases. As the soul continues its journey, awareness gradually shifts away from the physical plane and toward broader spiritual realms. Connection is not lost. It changes frequency. Cayce emphasized that true contact is subtle, not frightening, not dramatic, not theatrical, but gentle. Dreams that feel peaceful, memories paired with calm, guidance that arrives without fear. Fear distorts perception, love clarifies it. This distinction is critical and often misunderstood. After death, the soul does not rest in inactivity. It learns, it assists, it prepares. Some souls return quickly through reincarnation. Others serve as helpers, teachers, or guardians. Eventually, every soul chooses another chapter of experience. The veil is part of that design. Why this matters now. Cayce believed humanity is becoming more aware of these truths, not because the veil is failing, but because consciousness is evolving. People are remembering, not intellectually, but intuitively. When experiences arise that defy material explanation, it does not mean imagination has failed. It means awareness has expanded. If this exploration resonated with you, take a moment to like this video. It helps this work reach others who may need it right now. Subscribe if you're drawn to deeper explorations of Edgar Cayce's teachings, the soul's journey, and the mysteries that continue beyond the physical world. And if you feel comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments. Many people are having these experiences, they just don't always feel safe talking about them. You're watching Mystic Podcast Cruise, the Cayce Files, and this journey is only just beginning.